All right. Our opening act is the Sullivan County Spotlight. We try and start every one of these meetings featuring a county. So we're looking forward to hearing from Sullivan County. We have Dawn Dextrace. She's the Education and Outreach Specialist for the Sullivan County. She moved to Claremont, New Hampshire in 2016 from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, where she was teacher naturalist. She's been teaching outdoor environmental ed since 2002 and has worked in New England, Washington, North Carolina, and Tennessee. She has a BS in biology from Mars Hill College, and her master's is in environmental education from UNH. As I read through her biography, I was impressed that one of the things she's most interested in sharing with us is her interest and abilities to do ed and outreach for people of all ages, and her enthusiasm for getting people involved in being outdoors. It's recreation, nature, whatever they're doing outdoors, safe and happy and truly all ages, to arouse their curiosity about the natural world. Thanks for being our spotlight tonight, Dawn, from Sullivan County.
Yeah, well, thank you for allowing us to be a spotlight, and I am really excited about getting everybody outdoors and connected to the natural world. I think it's one way that we get connected to one another too, because we share those things with each other, and it's way more fun when we're out there together as well. And now in COVID times, it's actually a safer place and being touted as that, and a great place for education as schools starting up. So it's a really awesome thing to be able to get kids outside and utilize this time and the places that we have. So before I start, because we are going to focus on conservation education and how we do that in Sullivan County, because it's fairly unique because of the area that we're in the Upper Valley and their focus on place-based education and the funding that comes from that, which funds a lot of my position. So it is fairly unique, and so we'll focus on that. But first, I just wanted to ask you a question that you can share your answer in the chat with us, since most of us have figured out how to use that. I want you to think about the first time you felt like you connected to the natural world. Like, how far back was it? What was the first time that you connected to the natural world? And share just a couple sentences about how old you were and what the context of that was. And if you just came in, we are thinking about the first time we were connected to the natural world, how old we were and what the context was for that, and sharing a couple of sentences in the chat. Okay, so I'm seeing learning to identify trees in 5th grade, riding the Santa Fe Super Chief train, seeing falling stars when I was 5, gardening with parents at age 3, with grandparents digging in soil around 4, being on a family farm at age 4, playing with the sheep and the pigs, just hiking with parents when they were really young, playing with cows, catching falling leaves when I was 5 or 6, being stung by a bee when I was 3, that's memorable, visiting grandparents in their cabin picking off leeches, scouting, Cub Scout activities, camping in elementary school, growing up with no neighbors, playing in the field with my brother all the time. So I think you can see that, I mean, most of us are in the conservation field, are professionals in the field, and a lot of our experiences with the natural world, our first connections were when we were really young. when we were even younger than school age, but then I see some school age things too. And so a lot of our focus at Sullivan County Conservation District is getting kids outdoors and connected to nature, because we know from our own experiences, and it's just being reiterated here, that connecting with nature at a young age, feeling comfortable in it, being encouraged to explore things is part of what makes us care for it, and then might bring new people to the field. So it's really important. So I'm gonna share my screen now if I'm able to, and just share some of the programs that we have. Because we do meet all ages, wherever people are at, but we do have a focus on the younger students connecting to nature. Okay, let's see. And I won't be able to see you anymore after I share my screen. Here we go. Oh, I guess I can see you a little bit still. So if you could give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen, then I'll know you're seeing it too. Okay, I see Bob can see it. Okay, great. That's enough people to see it. So Sullivan County Conservation District has a three-prong goals, and it's all really about conservation of natural resources, but we promote that through place-based education. And conserving natural resources, also what we do is we're supporting local agriculture. We're supporting best practices like all of the conservation districts. But our main focus, one of our main focuses, and why I have a position as an educator, is place-based education, which is really learning from and within your local community. And we want to connect all people to their local lands, help them develop an appreciation of them, a knowledge of what's out there. And just we're hoping that it will lead to good decision making, more informed decision making, stewardship, and care in our communities. And I will just mention that a lot of my position is funded through the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation's Wellborn Ecology Fund, and that focuses its energy on students in Claremont, Newport, and then the Mascoma School District. So I reach out a little bit further into grafting. All of these pictures are from programs that we've done. Oh, all right, I'm gonna switch that again because I'm not sure how that, oh, my internet is unstable, so we'll see how it goes. So one of our big focuses is school programs, like I said, and we participate in a School to Farm Day with New Hampshire Ag in the Classroom and with our Sullivan County Farm Bureau. I think a lot of other conservation districts do this too. It's for 4th graders, and we've been able to make it free because of, oh, it might continue happening for me. Hopefully it won't. We have made it free through our partnerships and the funding that comes through that, and we've also done some fundraising. And then we also participate in training middle and high school students for the New Hampshire Envirothon, which is an NHACD program. And this picture is from 5th graders that we're still doing some Envirothon stuff with them, but we're getting them excited about it for the next years to come. And even though middle schoolers don't compete for a prize or anything, we have brought middle schools actually not middle schools, but teams from Newport Middle School, and their high school also competes in it. So we offer training for that. We have a program for that. And then we go to schools and utilize their school space as an outdoor classroom, and just try to engage the senses of kids and really get them connected to the place that they're at. We usually have about 50 lessons with school children throughout the school year. So I am doing a lot of teaching. Some of the programs we do, they come on field trips to the county lands in Sullivan County, because I'm also a staff of the Natural Resources Department, and we have our own outdoor classroom as well. Oh, and I'll say, if you have any questions, if you can put those in the chat, I can try to answer some right after this, these next few slides. Another way that we do conservation education is through teacher professional development. And we always work with partners for this, for not only funding, but because we like to learn new things too. And so when we're working with partners, we can contribute to the education, but we can also be students as well. And so we work with the National Park Service through Parks for Every Classroom to train teachers on how to teach place-based education. We work with New Hampshire Fish and Game with their Watershed Ecology Institute, which occasionally comes to Sullivan County, and it goes to other areas around the state as well to teach just about watersheds, about mapping systems, and then how to use that with students. And then we're part of a network of professional development providers and place-based educators called the Upper Valley Teaching Place Collaborative. And through that, we do professional development for cohorts of teachers, and they get usually 1 to 2 years of training through that. And then they're connected to the whole system and can do other professional development through that as well. But that's how we support them. So we teach teachers how to do this too, so that we're not the only ones, and we're building that network, and they can then affect the kids and help them connect. And then last but not least, we have a lot of community programs, which I know a lot of conservation districts do, but we have agricultural workshops like how to grow mushrooms or make a hugelkultur bed, which is a raised bed of sorts. We have a naturalist series, so we're teaching natural history to all ages. This one that's here was a bird program, and we worked with University of Vermont professor to come down and catch some birds in some nets and show us them, which was really fun. We have a public cidery through the Natural Resources Department. So we have equipment and people bring their apples. It's starting up in like 10 days. We're going to be opening it again soon. And these are volunteers at our volunteer training day that help us run the cidery so that we can keep it open for more hours. So we just started that last year. It's a great touch point for the community. And then we also provide citizen science programs, which this picture is actually with Allison, and we were at one of the Upper Valley Land Trust properties called Up on the Hill, and we were monitoring monarch breeding populations. And so you can see that families tend to come to that too. So these are all ways that we focus on conservation education. And then I just want to stress that everything we do is through partners, whether it's school partners or professional development or conservation education partners, or like Fish and Game or NHACD. So really the education work, the collaboration is the key to making it happen, whether it's for the locations we're at, for the marketing aspect, for the funding, for new ideas, and so that we can learn and be engaged too. Okay, so I'll check and see if there's any questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Or if anyone wants to speak their questions, that's okay too, if you have any.
I'm curious about the number of people that participated last year in the cidery. And can you talk just maybe a minute or so about that? Because that's just so unique to New Hampshire, but certainly unique as a conservation district program, Dawn.
Yeah, so last season we had the cidery open for the month of October. It was it was a short season just to see how it would go. And we pressed 226 gallons of cider. Each pressing is between 11 and 14 gallons. So we had about 18 pressings. 2 of those were during our volunteer day, but the other 16 were community members that had apples in their backyard. And we wanted, so Lionel Chute, the director or the manager of the conservation district, he really didn't want to see those apples go to waste that are in backyards and roadsides. And so he was really the person who instigated this cidery and made it helped to make it happen. So we had families come, we had folks, all of them were fairly close nearby, but as word is spread, people are wanting to come from further places because you're right, it is unique. There's not many public cideries where you can press apples.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do
So
you,
Dawn,
Oh, go ahead, Becky.
So Don, I was curious, you had a picture there with a winter activity, and I was just curious what you all do in the winter for educational opportunities.
Yeah, so I teach about winter survival, how plants survive winter, how animals survive winter. It has to obviously be active because you need them to be moving around. We also have a fire ring that we can use, and we can keep kids warm that way, but most of them wear snow pants and things for recess, so they're geared up and ready to go. And so a lot of our trainings are for teachers to bring kids outside during winter. We have some lichen monitoring programs during winter because that's a great time to be checking those out. And we do tracking, sometimes snowshoe hikes. So there's quite a few things for us to do with the students. And there's some snow science lessons, some food caching lessons, hibernating lessons. Yeah.
Soon enough, I guess you'll be getting into that curriculum again, won't you, though?
Yeah, let's have fall happen first, though.
That's right. Let's have a little more summer. Don't rush it.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments for Dawn? All right, you know how to find her right there in Sullivan County. So if you think of things afterwards, do get in touch. And that's it for what I have news to report at this time. And I'm thrilled to roll into the spotlight on Cheshire County. Cheshire County's information is being shared with us tonight by Amanda Littleton. Amanda Littleton's their district manager and is a graduate of Antioch University in the Environmental Studies program with an MS in Environmental Education, and she's completed a BA in Anthropology and Psychology at the University of Rhode Island. Before coming to the Cheshire County Conservation District in 2007, she's held positions in various public and education outreach roles, promoting agriculture and the study of conservation of the natural environment. Amanda is a board member of the Monadnock Economic Development Corporation, Monadnock Farm and Community Coalition, as well as the Conservation District Employees Association of New Hampshire. Amanda's great interest in supporting the region's working landscape for its value that it contributes to the local economy, the good stewardship it provides for our local environment, and the benefits it brings to our rural communities. Amanda lives in Chesterfield with her family. When she's not working, she can be found fixing up their old home, hiking, or maybe best of all this summer, and we hope you enjoy it happily and safely, playing in the waters of the Monadnock region. Thanks so much, Amanda, for being our Cheshire County Spotlight tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the invitation to be here with all of you. So I was just asked for about 5 minutes to share a little bit of the work that we do in Cheshire County. And so as Chris mentioned, I've been there since 2007, and we have a great team down in Cheshire County. We have one other employee. She works part-time, about half-time with us. She's our outreach coordinator, Lola Bobrowski. And we have a wonderful board of supervisors that are really committed to seeing the organization be successful. And so what we focus on really is 4 areas: soil health, water quality, wildlife habitat, and farm and forest business viability. And I'll just give you a little quick highlight of maybe one program in each of those focus areas to give you a taste of the type of work we do. So I'll start with soil health. Back in 2012, we kicked off an equipment rental program. And that started with a 7-foot no-till seed drill that a farmer in the region was asking the Conservation District to sort of look into acquiring. And we were excited about that because at the time, there weren't any conservation districts doing equipment rentals in New Hampshire. So it's something that's really taken off since 2012. Most of the districts in New Hampshire now do equipment rentals for soil health. And we've grown our program to have about $150,000, a little over $150,000 of value of equipment that we rent out to farmers. And we work with all different types of farmers, dairy farmers, vegetable farmers, and they range a great bit in size from small homestead, under 2 acres, where we have a BCS 2-wheel tractor and multiple implements, and all the way up through to now we have a 12-foot Esch no-till drill. So we really are trying to meet the needs of land users of all different sizes, different scales of agriculture. And we're always looking to expand and improve that type of programming. And this year our board voted to make all of our equipment free for dairy farms because of the challenges with COVID-19, what it's posed for the dairy economy. And so that's been a great experience to be able to make that possible. And we look to try to continue to do things like that, to make the equipment affordable and accessible to all the farms in the region. Let's see, for wildlife habitat improvement, a program I'd love to highlight is a new one we started this year called the Conservation Opportunity Fund. So we have a generous donor who helped us start a small endowment, really, like an agency fund at the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, where we have about $70,000 in there. And what we're doing is not using those dollars for the program, but we're taking the interest earned from that money, and each year we're going to be giving out grants to landowners of small tracts of land to improve wildlife habitat on their properties. And so we really felt like there was a gap. There's wonderful programming through USDA and NRCS for stewardship, as well as through our state fish and game department, but most of those are targeting folks over 20 acres. There are exceptions to that, but certainly most of the programs that rank and get funded are larger landowners. And so we thought this could be an opportunity to give grants of $1,500 to small landowners who want to do pollinator habitat, riparian buffers, as well as early successional work, or creating rain gardens on their property. So this year we were able to give out 4 awards. It's our first year doing it, and we gave out $5,500 for that. Most of them are focused on pollinator habitat. So we're really excited to see this program roll out and offer it each year. And I'll just mention that also our focus is for farm viability. We do a great deal of work trying to help grow markets for farmers, and so that takes a few different programs that we do to help grow markets. But one looks at it's called Granite State Market Match, and so anybody who has food stamps or SNAP benefits can now go to farmers markets around Cheshire County, as well as farm stands and CSAs, and they can basically get fruits and vegetables at 50% off. So they double their dollars for every dollar they spend with a local farmer. We've also started 3 years ago now a Veterans Appreciation Month to incentivize veterans. Anytime a veteran wants to go to the farmer's market in the month of September, we give them a $20 voucher as a thank you for their service to our country. And so we continue to grow that program. We now are working with 3 markets, and veterans can go to any of them any week and receive that voucher as a sort of a way for us to express our appreciation for what they do. But it's also great for the farms because it brings in new customers to these markets. Another component of our farm viability work is grants. We've partnered with our local food co-op for the past 4 years to give out grants for farmers to invest in on-farm infrastructure and equipment. And those grants can go up to $10,000. This past year in 2020, for this grant round, we were able to give out about $27,000 to 5 different farms. And so each year we try to grow that program, and we really appreciate the partnership with the food co-op as one of our funders, as well as you have our trust fund to do that. So that's just, I'm probably gone over my time. I'm sorry, I've already been rambling, so I'll stop there. But I just wanted to give you a little sample of the types of programs that we do for soil, water, wildlife, and farms.
An impressive overview. Thanks, Amanda. If anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box and we can get to them at the conclusion of this hour, or I can make sure that Amanda will see them as well and she can get back to you. I can say that I was impressed when I looked at your website in preparation for this evening. I really liked the section that had each month a different blog person contributing some information. So I was very impressed about that.
Yeah, most of our board members do those, and they're really interesting, a lot of variety of topics. The board's been such a great support and really engaged to make that possible.
Yeah, it comes off like that. I really enjoyed that part of well, I enjoyed your website, but that part was really, really zingy. Thank you. So the next part of our spotlight goes to Jeremy Fowler, Public Affairs Specialist for NRCS. Jeremy is the public Our spotlight is Hillsborough County with Carrie Rickrobe. She's been the district manager there since 2003. She holds a BS in Business Administration with a concentration in marketing from UNH. She's been active in the Conservation District Employees Association and has served as their past president. Carrie lives in Nashua with her family, and we're thrilled to have Hillsborough and grateful to have Hillsborough as our spotlight tonight. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I have a presentation that I'm going to try and share with you all, so let's give it a shot. There we go. Okay, so in the essence of time, I decided to focus on two programs that we are currently working on right now to share with you all. They are two programs that have been very successful in our county. One is focused on urban conservation, and the other one is focusing on local foods. We have a very successful gleaning program in our county. So to start off, I am going to share with you some details of our Urban Learning Garden project. To start off, I wanted to share that this project came out of a grant that we received from NACD back in 2016. We were one of the urban agriculture recipients. It was the first year that they offered that opportunity. So we were happy that we were able to take advantage of that. Through that grant, we were able to work with Grow Nashua, help them get started with putting in gardens around the city of Nashua, focusing on the immigrant and the refugee populations. It was a really successful project. So from there, we decided we wanted to continue with them, and we worked with them in 2016 and 17, transitioning from a garden, community garden setting to bringing it to the school. And here you can see some pictures of the garden set up at Amherst Street Elementary School, which is in the inner city. I mentioned all of that. So the reason that, so we had that school in Amherst Street, and then in 2018, it was so successful over at Amherst Street School that we brought it over to Dr. Crisp Elementary, which is also on the other side of the city, but also in the inner city. And that site was selected because it is one of the poorest school districts. 80% of the students qualify for free and reduced lunch. And the thought was that it would be a great opportunity for those kids' families to come in and start growing food there as well, and really make it more of a community. It went really well. It is an interesting site, so they had to use some innovative practices. They utilized a lot of permaculture design and practices, and there's a local permaculture specialist that lives right in Nashua that's been a part of this project the entire time. Here's a picture of the garden design that they created to set up there. And irrigation wicking system supplies, they had to do some innovative irrigation, so they did that. at that site. They also were able to use a lot of local businesses to get their supplies, and lots of donations came from those local businesses, as you can see here, which was really great. They also are very connected in the community there. So United Way hosted a community farming day of caring back in 2019. So we were able to have 78 volunteers participate and help get everything built and the gardens growing. In addition to just the farming part of things, they also created a really great learning education program with many different kinds of workshops, both for kids as well as adults and volunteers. And when the pandemic hit this year, they had grand plans to offer a few more sessions in person, but had to switch to offering those virtually, and those were well attended as well. And in addition, this year, we were able to receive some additional funds through our NHACD contribution agreement, and we were able to purchase a high tunnel for them to put up, as you can see in the top picture. They were able to generate many seedlings and then also take some from another grower to grow in the high tunnel. And at the end of the season, they were able to provide over 2,000 plants to approximately 100 families that were in need. So that was a really wonderful opportunity for those individuals, especially during the pandemic. Future plans, they would like to expand a little bit on the current high tunnel that they have. And so the hope is that beginning in 2021, that can happen and they can form even more of a relationship with the community. The second program I wanted to highlight is our gleaning program. We are a part of the statewide program called New Hampshire Gleans. We host the program here in Hillsborough County, and we've been a part of it since 2012. We call ourselves Hillsborough County Gleaners, and we received funding from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, but then supplemental funding also is provided by our district. We put some money towards the program, as well as the Greater Nashua Food Council has been giving us money since last year. And for those of you that don't know what gleaning is, the purpose is to collect fresh local food from area farmers, and then we deliver it to organizations who can redistribute it to those in need. So basically it's food collected from the farm that is not able to be, they're not able to sell. And we've been very successful. As I said, we started in 2012. In 2013, we collected maybe 3,000 pounds of food. As of 2018, we collected over 71,000 pounds of food. And we tend to be in the top tier of the program throughout the state. We started off with just about 20 volunteers, and now we have over 50 dedicated volunteers. We started with just collecting food from the farmer's market, but now all of our efforts have transitioned to be on the farm. And we deliver to many, many recipient organizations. Due to the pandemic this year, we found that it's taken us a lot of extra time to find even more outlets to deliver to. So that's been a little bit of a challenge, but we've been very successful with it. And new this year, because of our partnership with Grow Nashua, he started up a new program called Little Free Farm Stand, and it's set up outside of 5 faith-based organizations in the inner city of Nashua. So we've been starting to deliver some of our produce to those farm stands on Sunday as well. And that has been going over very well. So we're excited about that. And here's just some pictures of some of our gleaning over the years. Rose Gershfield is the person on the left here in the gray sweatshirt. She is one of our gleaning coordinators this year. Her mother on the right is Hazel Gershfield, and she is our second gleaning coordinator. Hazel's been with us since the beginning. She does a phenomenal job. And her daughter Rose has been volunteering with her since the beginning. And now that she's graduated high school, we've decided to take her on. So basically the program is being transitioned to her daughter, and she's doing a phenomenal job. I just can't say anything bad about it. We're just so thrilled. And the picture at the bottom, as you can see in the truck there, that was a pumpkin glean that we did at Brookdale Fruit Farm in Hollis. And Chip Hardy is one of the farmers there at Brookdale, one of the co-owners. And he's there sitting right next to where I'm standing. So And the picture in the middle there is from the Natural Soup Kitchen, and we deliver a lot of food over there to them, and they're always very appreciative of it. So that's all I have, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Oh, Chris, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, whoever reminded me of that. I have a couple of quick questions. In one of your early photos from one of the school sites, you have a few beautiful shots of the raised beds, but one of them is from the air looking down. Was somebody, maybe you don't have to answer this, was somebody standing on the roof of a building, or was that a photo by a volunteer with a drone?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm not. I'm assuming it must have been a drone, because I can't imagine that someone would have been standing.
Well, the photos, your PowerPoint is really outstanding. It really captures a lot of information. It's graphically very appealing. I'm also curious, you're welcome. I'm also curious about if you have time, or if you have people in your group that would be interested in giving this presentation to, for instance, master gardener groups in different counties, or to a landscape association presentation, or some other people in affiliated or allied organizations or trades that could find this really interesting, because gleaning is something people might have heard about but don't really know the dramatic effects that you're seeing with the increase in volunteers and just raw pounds of food and whatnot.
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to look at that.
Drafted. Okay. Thank you. Does anybody else have questions or comments for?
Tract inputting all of the soils data for NRCS. So done a couple of different things. And my very first job in agriculture was actually teaching migrant farm workers in Pennsylvania how to use pesticides, and didn't think at that point in time that working in agriculture was going to be part of what I ended up doing for a career. So now Merrimack County Conservation District does a lot of the projects that that a lot of the other districts do. We have shareable equipment, a lime spreader, an aerator. You know, we're doing, following Carroll and Belknap County's lead, we have some in-stream wood projects that we're doing. We do soil health. So we do a lot of those projects, but tonight I kind of wanted to go over some of the things that that we focus on a bit here in Merrimack County. And so, but first, the mission of the Merrimack County Conservation District is to conserve the natural resources and cultural heritage of Merrimack County. Old, you know, from the very beginning, almost 75 years, that's what the mission has been. So one of the things I wanted to focus on is some of our food security programs. Now, the way that we do programs here in Merrimack County is that we have, we haven't had much success going to people and saying, you should really do this. But we've had a lot of success when our constituents come to us and say, we want your help with this. And so probably about 10 years ago, we had people come to us and say, we want you to help us accept SNAP and EBT, or to do gleaning programs, or to do something that kind of helps get agricultural goods grown here in the county to some of the people in need. And so one of the things we've really started doing this year, though honestly Chris will remember that we started one of the projects with Vicki at Franklin Middle School, is we do a lot of community garden programs. Now these programs we have done from help with private funders like Franklin Savings Bank, but we also got a National Association of Conservation Districts grant to do urban garden work. And this year we got a large grant from the New Hampshire Children's Health Foundation to continue this project. And so we have two different types of gardens we work with. We have got school gardens that that we're growing food for the students and with the students. And so they get to eat some of this food in the classroom, or they will take that food and donate it to families in need in their own community. But we also do a lot of educational programming around these school gardens. Now, a long time ago, the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Districts with Merrimack County oversaw the Food, Land, and People program. We still have the materials for that, and when we work with our local schools, we still implement that Food, Land, and People program. And so the other program we do for the really young kids is the Early Sprouts program that was developed here in New Hampshire at Keene State College. And they have a tailored program that is very, very good for the Head Starts that we work with, the preschools, you know, up until about the kindergarten age. So now with community gardens, we do something different. We do a technical assistance to those community gardens. So we do a lot of soil testing. We find ways to try to get them amendments for their soils. We do trainings for the gardeners on best practices. And just recently, as part of that grant that we received, we are creating gleaning gardens for the communities. So within those community gardens, we have volunteers who grow food specifically for their local food pantries. And the other thing we have started doing is we've been providing some management assistance, which basically means that we kind of run the garden, or we fill that spot when there are some gaps in the community governance. So we've done that in the town of Boscawen this year. So the other thing I would like to add about these gardens, or actually, let me show you some pictures first, and I can explain this a little bit better. So the picture on the right is from the Sycamore Community Garden. And so this is a garden for mostly new Americans from Bhutan, Nepal, Iraq, Somali refugees. And this is on land that's right next to the New Hampshire Technical Institute. And so as part of the New Hampshire Association of Conservation District demonstration projects, we were able to put a high tunnel up on NHTI, which we will use as a teaching high tunnel with their sustainable ag program. But we will also be helping the refugees do some of their starts and some season extension up in that high tunnel. And then off to the left is the person who has been running this program for the most part, Hillary Bailey. She works in schools. She's a farmer. And behind her is our best volunteer, Bernie, who we met through a volunteer program called the RSVP program. And that's just one of the raised beds that we put in at the Salisbury Elementary School earlier this year. So going on with food security programs, we also do the New Hampshire Gleaning Program. And so what we do with this is we go around and we collect food that that either is not going to be sold, you know, looks a little weird. For the most part, it's stuff that the farmers just grew too much, and we're accepting it for our food pantries. So in the picture there, we have Hillary. This is at Spring Ledge Farm, and you can see some of the oversized squash that we got there. And so now the gleaning program is great because it actually introduces us to new farms. And once we build those relationships with the farms, we're able to say, hey, have you thought about this program? Have you thought about that program? And so it really, all of these programs build upon each other to create more partnerships, not just for gleaning, but with connections to NRCS programs or connections to that's where we can have a conversation about, hey, you know, we have this piece of equipment you can rent. So this program gets us on those farms too. But they also benefit because they get a tax credit. We promote them in our local food guide and in our newsletters. And for some farms, like blueberry farms, the gleaning gets the extra blueberries off, which will help for their production in the following year. So all of these programs really do build on top of each other throughout the community, which is very helpful. So the other thing that we do is we do farmers market programs. Again, it is a great way for us to meet new farms, to build those relationships. We are the regional lead for Granite State Market Match. And what this does is we're able to accept SNAP, EBT, formerly known as SNAPS funds, and match them. So someone comes with $20 worth of SNAP funds, they leave our table with $40 worth of purchasing power, and that is through a USDA FINI grant that goes to the New Hampshire Food Bank and then down to us. And other, Cheshire County also does this program as well. And we do this all over the state, all over the county and year round. We're one of the few counties that has year round farmers markets that we can provide this program. And so the benefit of this, again, we get to meet new farms. They have the ability to accept SNAP and build their customer base, and the people in the county are able to get affordable, fresh, locally grown produce. So now we also have, through private donations, we have something that we call our Veteran Value Bucks. I think we're changing that name. And so basically this is an incentive to veterans to go buy food at the farmers markets. And again, it builds the farmers customer base, and it increases the world that we have within our own conservation district. So, and we have a National Guard here, and we also have a military community that could use the assistance. We have a lot of students here that are barely scraping by, and this gives them some money to buy fresh food at the farmers markets, as well as a homeless vet population here in Concord. So this is Mariah, one of our part-time employees. She was actually a recipient of our very first scholarship. We give a yearly scholarship to a student going into agriculture, environmental science, etc. She works at DES, but she came on as an intern and continues to help us to this day, which I think is 7 years later. So I know I only had 5 minutes, but another quick thing that we're doing that I think is very specific to Merrimack County is our farm energy program. This year we are funded through a specially cropped block grant. And so what we're doing with this, we had worked with the former Southern New Hampshire RC&D Council back in 2012 to do a comprehensive farm energy program with audits, and we trained auditors and got them through the TSP program. And so we also had a farm energy booklet, which we updated as part of this grant. And we've been getting assistance to farmers in getting a farm energy audit, whether through NRCS or through some incentive programs that the utilities have available. We have been doing some education outreach. For the most part, that's mostly been technical assistance to farms, going to the farms individually, instead of having any of those group workshops. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to those group workshops, but for right now, it's mostly just one-on-one. And we're also doing demonstration sites that with the grant money is helping farms implement something new and different, whether it's improved refrigeration or insulation, more efficient heating sources, improved lighting, or the picture you see here is season extension using compost heat. So if anyone has been to Pedal Pushers in Laconia, they have a very gigantic leaf composting system in which the heat that the compost is creating goes into their greenhouses. Well, this farm right here, Worksong Farm, is trying to do that on a smaller scale. So getting all of those leaves to compost, which will go onto their fields, but also taking some of that heat, running pipe under their high tunnels, and trying to extend the season and warm their high tunnels just a little bit more. So it's a great little project that they're doing. And this right here, last year we did a training day for Envirothon. And also just an outreach day for middle and high school students. And these are some students who were sticking their hands in the compost to feel how hot it was in the center. So Worksong Farm was one of those farms that opened up their farm in order to train the students that were competing in Envirothon. So again, a lot of our programs almost scaffold on top of each other, and we're able to kind of tie a lot of things together, whether it's food security or education or whatever, you know, to try to build that community web here. And I think that's it. I've definitely gone over my time. So, any questions?
I have a quick one, Stacy. I'm not sure, or maybe I could email it to you, but the idea that Pedal Pushers is using this compost with the probably PVC or something running under it to take that and heat their caterpillar tunnel or tunnel, whatever it is really fascinating. And I'm fingers crossed post-COVID or at some point in the future, I'm wondering if we could do some outreach to you and ask if you could arrange some sort of a small tour so interested people could see this besides the Envirothon training or the Envirothon open house that they offered. So sounds like that might be something really interesting to get a firsthand look at.
Yeah, I think it would. Now, this farm right here is Worksong Farm, which is in Hopkinton, across from Beach Hill Farm, so you can get your ice cream at the same time. Pedal Pushers has a much larger system, and they were able to get SARE funds to fund part of that. And I think they would probably be willing to do that, but last I knew they were for sale, so hopefully post-COVID, we probably could do that. It's a much more impressive system with conveyor belts, and it is quite a program Pedal Pushers have, a much larger scale than Worksong is trying to do.
Well, that sounds good, but so does the proximity to an ice cream stand. So
yes.
We'll keep in touch about this, Stacy. Any other questions from the audience attending right now? Nicely done, really fascinating. If anybody has questions, we know how to find you, Stacy. So thank you ever so much for being here tonight.
Great.